First thing he's got to do is listen to the doctors. Do not rush anything. The man's still young. He's in his prime. He's not on borrowed time. He's still got years ahead of him. Listen to the doctors. Come back, whoop some ass, take the gloves off. No more Mr. Nice Guy. Tell everyone to go themselves, knock some people out, and this whole escapade will be behind him. Doing interviews and showing the receipts and showing the doctor's appointments and all the rest of it, I don't think that's the way forward.
You know, it's been a tough few days for Tom Aspinall, who has found himself in a position that absolutely no champion ever wants to be in. He's been forced to constantly explain and defend his decision not to continue the fight at UFC, and honestly, it seems like he's been on a non-stop press tour just to clear his name. But here's the thing that's causing even more friction. A lot of the MMA pros are really not liking what they're seeing or hearing from the champ. Despite all the backlash he's getting, Aspinall is digging his heels in, almost like he's on a personal mission to prove to the world that he made the right call. And get this. In a pretty shocking revelation, he also mentioned that Dana White hasn't even bothered to reach out to him at all since his fight with Cyril Gane. Aspinall expressed just how deeply disappointed he was by that silence, especially after seeing public statements claiming his eye was fine, which he called completely and utterly inaccurate. He made it crystal clear that he's given a lot to the UFC, and frankly, he expected a whole lot better communication when he's dealing with an injury this serious.
It surprises me a little bit, the face of the UK fight scene, all that stuff. It surprises me that you have no kind of relationship with him.
Yeah, I don't really know what to say. That's the way it is.
Has he sent you a text or DM in the aftermath? Hope you're feeling better.
No, nothing like that. Nothing like that. He actually, like I said, he started giving updates that there was nothing wrong with my eye when that isn't the case. So I've done a lot for the UFC. So yeah, disappointing.
Did you feel let down?
I have been in contact with the UFC, so it's not like Dana isn't the whole promotion. But yeah, like I said, I don't really have a close relationship with Dana anyway.
Do you feel like they've taken care of you, the organization?
Not really.
So, in the middle of all this absolute chaos, Tom Aspinall has been put on the defensive, forced to justify himself after suffering that brutal eye injury. And he's described the whole whirlwind situation as being just completely and utterly overwhelming. Now look, he gets it. Criticism is just part of the game when you're competing at the absolute highest level of any sport. But what's really getting under his skin, what's truly frustrating him, is the sheer volume of people who genuinely, truly believe that he faked the whole thing just to get out of the fight. Aspinall had to emphasize over and over that the eye poke was not only real, but it was incredibly serious. He pointed out, with a ton of palpable frustration in his voice, that so many people jump to these wild, unfounded conclusions without even bothering to do the bare minimum and watch the replay, which clearly, without a doubt, shows exactly what happened in that cage.
It's been a bit of a whirlwind, to be honest with you, because I know there's a lot of haters out there. Of course, this is professional sport at the highest level. We have haters. But when the eye poke happened, obviously, eye pokes happen all the time in MMA, unfortunately. And got the eye poke. Obviously, everything went on from there. Went to the hospital, returned home. Didn't even, check my phone or nothing for a while. And then I realized, people genuinely think that I faked this. People actually think that I was faking it. And then I was like, did people actually see the replay of what happened? Because that was a full-on eye poke.
And here's where the story gets even more wild and, frankly, a bit baffling. Tom Aspinall is just genuinely shocked and dismayed by how many people are still questioning the legitimacy of his injury. I mean, think about this. After countless hospital visits and a whole battery of extensive, thorough medical tests, he went as far as to prepare a full, detailed doctor's report, just to clarify the situation for everyone and put the rumors to rest. And yet, even with all that concrete evidence on the table, some people were still out there accusing him of exaggerating the injury or just trying to seek attention. You can literally hear the exasperation in his voice as he calls out those individuals who are deliberately choosing to ignore the hard medical evidence and the crystal clear replay footage, branding them as nothing more than haters with nothing better to do. At the same time, he made sure to take a moment to express his deep and sincere gratitude to the real fans, the ones who have continued to support him and diligently follow his updates through this entire difficult ordeal.
So then I was like, what is going on? Why are people thinking I'm faking this, like, after everything that I've been through to get there? So then I left it quite a while. I thought, right, I'm going to get all the doctor's notes included. I've been through it for like loads and loads of tests for weeks. I've literally been in the hospital 2 or 3 times a week getting different tests. Then I come up with a doctor's report, and then people are like, oh, he's fucking crying about it. He's doing a media tour on it. He's milking it. And I'm like, bro, if you don't believe the eye poke and you don't believe the doctor's report, like, what are we doing? Like, what's going on here? Like, I didn't make it up. Go watch the replay, check out the doctor's reports. Look, man, I'm in the point where, like, you just cannot please these guys. These guys are fucking losers, man. These guys are just crazy haters who have got nothing good going on in their life, obviously. I still got a lot of fans. I wanted to keep my fans updated with what's going on. And I appreciate everybody that's stuck by me.
Now, on the flip side of that coin, you've got a seasoned veteran like Michael Bisping, who's chiming in with a very, very different perspective on the matter. Bisping emphasized a hard truth of the fight world: trying to win over fans by constantly asking for their support or by painting yourself as a victim is a strategy that almost never, ever works in the fight game. He broke it down perfectly, explaining that the worlds of social media and sports audiences have this deep, ingrained respect for athletes who just don't seem to care about public approval. The ones will let their performance do the talking. Bisping's advice for Aspinall was blunt and straight to the point. All the talking you need to do should be done inside the octagon. He argued that off-camera explanations, these endless interviews, or posting doctors' updates online only serve as a major distraction from what truly mattered. His message to Aspinall was crystal clear: focus on getting healthy, come back stronger than ever before, and let your actions and your performance in the cage do all the talking for you.
But yeah, the gloves should come off, and they should come off for everyone, because when you want the crowd to like you, when you beg the masses to like you, to get behind you, to get on board, they don't do that. That's not how this works in social media and fandom throughout TV and sports and all the rest of it. When you want to be liked, when you're trying to show that, listen, I'm the victim here, for some reason, it just turns people off. You've got to be the guy that doesn't give a damn. That's what people like. That's what they respect. When you step in the octagon, do all your talking now. Don't address this anymore. Yes, he's doing a big interview tomorrow, I heard, and he's going to come on there and he's going to show more doctor stuff, and he's probably going to talk about how he was annoyed at certain comments and things like that. Just ignore it all. Just ignore it all. Get healthy.
But it really seems like Tom just isn't ready to stop talking yet. He's still out there directly addressing the critics who have suggested he was looking for an easy way out of that fight. He emphatically stated that he had been preparing for what he truly believed would be the most challenging, difficult fight of his entire professional career against the incredibly formidable Cyril Gane. He clarified that his game plan was never to go in there looking for a quick, explosive knockout. Instead, he was fully prepared to manage the fight strategically over 5 grueling, hard-fought rounds. He also pointed out a key detail that many people overlooked. His nose bleeds very easily from previous breaks, so he absolutely blasted the casual fans who jumped to conclusions after seeing just a small amount of blood, calling that whole mindset completely and utterly misguided. Tom literally asked, "When I said I was prepared for the toughest fight of my life, Cyril Gane is a very, very dangerous opponent. I wasn't trying to knock him out. I was just trying to pace myself for 5 rounds. My nose is all good. I've probably broken my nose 3 or 4 times in my life, so if you hit me in the nose, it's going to bleed. But mate, the casual new hater MMA fan who sees one bit of blood and thinks that guy's losing a fight, it's wild." He highlighted just how ridiculous it is to assume he's losing because of a bloody nose after taking just a few jabs and low kicks, insisting it's complete nonsense to think he was trying to find an easy way out. Tom Aspinall then added, "These people must think I'm literally unstoppable if they believe that just because I've got a bloody nose, I'm losing a fight. I got hit with a couple of jabs and a couple of low kicks. You really think I'm looking for a way out? Come on, mate." To his credit, Michael Bisping also came to Aspinall's defense on this specific point, calling the narrative that he was looking for a way out absolute garbage. Bisping acknowledged that Gane is a tough opponent and the first round was challenging, but he stressed that Tom wasn't trying to escape the eye poke is what ended the fight, period. He even noted his own concern seeing Tom still dealing with the damage weeks later, admitting he knows firsthand how that feels and found it alarming that Tom still isn't cleared to compete a full 6 weeks on.
An easy guy, and that first round wasn't the easiest, but it was the first round. And Cyril Gagné stuffed some takedowns, so therefore everyone had this narrative that, Tom was looking for a way out. Absolute garbage. He wasn't looking for a way out. Cyril Gane took him out of the fight. I'll end on this. It was troubling to see that he's still having damage, and I know firsthand how that is. Granted, I don't think it's that serious, although the fact that 6 weeks later he's still not cleared.
Meanwhile, what might be the truly alarming part of this whole entire situation is the fact that Tom Aspinall is still completely unable to train, as his doctors are now seriously considering surgery for both of his eyes. Just let that sink in for a second. Surgery on both eyes for a heavyweight champion. He mentioned that he has an upcoming eyeball injection, which is a medical procedure that he's understandably and justifiably pretty anxious about. And while he is absolutely desperate to get back to work as early as humanly possible, he understands that eye injuries are not something you can rush. They require an extraordinary level of care and, most importantly, patience. Without any clear or definite timeline from his medical team, he remains completely in the dark about when he can even begin to think about resuming full training, which has to be an incredibly frustrating and mentally taxing position for a world champion to be in.
And then we get to the post-fight press conference, Tom. And Dana White is there, and his demeanor initially seemed to be one of someone who was upset, annoyed. And then he said the line that has been dissected, and you talked about it a little bit on your YouTube channel, where his take was Tom didn't want to continue. It didn't feel like he was defending you or the decision not to fight or the injury or even being critical of Cyril. It seemed like he was upset that the fight didn't continue because it was back and forth, and it seemed like he was actually rather complimentary of Cyril. When you heard his comments, how did you react?
Yeah, slightly disappointing.
Right now, Tom Aspinall has shared that his physical activity is severely limited to just light workouts. And when we say light, we're talking about simple bodybuilding weights and very minimal cardio. Absolutely nothing that even remotely resembles a real, intense fight camp. The double vision he's experiencing is still a major persistent issue for him. And any kind of sudden movement causes these waves of dizziness, which is a terrifying symptom for any professional athlete, let alone a combat sports fighter. Because of this debilitating condition, he's sticking to very easy jogging, cycling, and other low-intensity exercises, really just enough to keep his body moving. His training at this moment is incredibly gentle, designed simply to stay active and frankly to stay sane while he navigates this long, difficult, and completely uncertain recovery process.
He hadn't spoke to me. He hadn't given any up. He was already giving updates on my health, and he had no idea what had gone on. Yeah, so disappointing, mate. Disappointing.
The notion of it being framed as Tom didn't want to continue, as opposed to he got poked in the eye, he couldn't see, he can't get that stuff. That phrase.
However, Michael Bisping really does not like this public approach, and has been very vocal about it, saying that Tom needs to stop all of this public explanation and start standing his ground with everyone. He suggested that instead of posting doctors' reports online to prove that he's still unfit to fight, Tom should just stop feeding the trolls and the haters who are already pushing this victim narrative that he's so frustrated with. Tom's friend reminded everyone that we all clearly saw just how bad that double eye poke was on live television, calling it a real shame and a truly unfortunate situation that absolutely nobody wanted to see happen. For Bisping, the absolute best and most powerful response would be for Tom to go completely silent, make his return to the octagon, and unleash an absolutely dominant, merciless performance that leaves no doubt in anyone's mind about who he is.
Going back to this thing what Tom said, no more Mr. Nice Guy. That's what he needs. He needs to start telling everyone to go themselves. Simple as that. Don't come online and show the doctor's notes. I understand why he wants to do that, because he wants to say, look, 6 weeks later, the doctors still say that I'm not fit to fight. But all one is doing in that situation is playing into the narrative of the haters, playing into this narrative that you're a victim, showing the world that everyone that you're vulnerable. You don't have to do that. We all saw you get poked. They were deep. They were double eye pokes. They were all the way down into the knuckle. It was a shame. It's a bloody travesty that happened, right? Just come back and whoop some ass. And along the way, take no prisoners.
Expanding on that exact point, Michael Bisping advised Tom Aspinall to handle Cyril Gane directly, man-to-man, instead of constantly sharing these medical updates with the public online. He felt that if Tom truly believes the eye poke was a deliberate act, then he should be confronting Gane openly and publicly about it. In Bisping's view, he should be challenging Gane's character, questioning his integrity as a martial artist, and vowing to settle the score in the ring once and for all. According to Bisping, this would be a powerful, undeniable display of strength and confidence. In stark contrast, posting doctor's notes and medical jargon only plays directly into the hater's narrative, making him look defensive and validating their criticism.
Say Cyril Gane did it on purpose. Call him a pussy because you're going to step foot in the octagon and you're going to get to fight the guy. Say, I am going to absolutely marmalize you. I'm going to make you pay for being the cheating bastard that you are. And it seems like the gloves are off to a certain degree. Not off to the extent that the fingers are going to be exposed. But yeah, the gloves should come off.
You know, it's not just Bisping who has an opinion on this. Fellow fighter Arnold Allen also shared his thoughts on Tom Aspinall's eye injuries, and he came at it from a slightly different, more empathetic angle. He said he truly sympathizes with Tom and is absolutely adamant that he doesn't think for a single second that Aspinall gave up. But here's his interesting and very insightful take on the situation. He explained that often, the more a fighter tries to clarify their situation and explain all the nuances, the less the fans actually seem to care. He pointed out that a huge portion of the modern audience just isn't interested in context, details, or what they perceive as excuses. He noted that instead of offering any kind of support or understanding, many younger fans are incredibly quick to just label fighters as inactive bums, which really highlights just how harsh, unforgiving, and demanding the environment for these athletes has become in the age of social media.
Such a tough one because I really feel for him, and I don't think he definitely didn't quit. And he's definitely not like, you know, whatever. He's like, I don't think he's lying about his situation. But the more you put it out there and the people don't want to hear it, people don't care, right? This is what I know. Obviously, my situation is quite different, but like I know when I've been injured, if I put a video out there like doing rehab work, saying what I'm planning to come back or something, people don't give a shit. They just hear, people just hear you whining. You say, oh, I'm hoping to fight soon, but I'm still injured. People don't like, most fans don't go like, hope you're okay, like, you know, see you soon. They'll be like, inactive bum, you know. So I think that's just the kind of we're dealing with these days. With like young fans, maybe.
On the other hand, Tom Aspinall himself has now started to openly and directly question Cyril Gane's conduct inside the cage, strongly suggesting that Gane has a recurring habit of bending the rules. While Aspinall fully recognizes him as one of the most technical and skilled strikers in the entire history of the heavyweight division, he argues that a fighter with that incredible level of precision and skill shouldn't still be striking with an open hand when he's at poking distance. He's essentially asking a very pointed question: what's the deal with all this intentional, unintentional stuff? When you're that good, you should have more control over your weapons. Because when you think about it, he has a very compelling point.
I can see sometimes how it can be unintentional, but if you stood at range, like when it happened to me, he was stood at kicking range. If we're talking, like, I personally think that Cyril Gane is one of the most technical strikers to ever fight in the heavyweight division. I personally genuinely believe that. If he's one of the most technical fighters in the heavyweight division, why has he not learned to punch with his hand closed at kicking range? Like, it doesn't make any sense how that can be unintentional. I wouldn't have mind giving him a double eye poke and then we'll carry on.
So do you think it's part of his game plan to do this? But if you say he's a dirty fighter, he's a cheater, then it would suggest that he tries to do this in order to gain an advantage, right?
Well, he cheats in near enough every fight. I ain't seen the Cyril Gane fight that he's not cheated in yet.
Do you have any concern about fighting him again?
Maybe I'll be doing the fouls next time. Who knows?
And Tom Aspinall isn't beating around the bush about this anymore. He has stood firm, unwavering in his belief that Cyril Gane's eye poke was, in fact, intentional. He says that after meticulously analyzing the fight footage over and over again, he noticed a clear pattern where Gane repeatedly extended his fingers directly towards his eyes during their most dangerous and intense exchanges. Aspinall is arguing that this wasn't some clumsy one-off error that happened in the heat of the moment. No, he sees it as a deliberate and calculated tactic, a dirty move used specifically to gain an illegal advantage. He even referenced John Jones's earlier warning about Gane using similar dirty moves as further proof to back up his serious accusation.
That's when I really got the gist of what's going on. The guy was trying to poke my eyes out all the way through that round. Multiple exchanges, nearly every exchange that I could put him in danger. He had his fingers out pointing towards my eyes. The guy was cheating from the first second, and the way that he wanted to win that fight was to have me compromised by cheating. My thoughts on him, I think he's a big cheater. Look at all his fights. Even John Jones himself, even the GOAT himself said before he fought him that Cyril Gane's a cheater and uses dirty tactics.
Meanwhile, the English heavyweight fighter, who is clearly frustrated with the whole system, also floated a pretty drastic and radical idea to cut down on fouls in MMA. He suggested a sort of eye for an eye rule. The idea is, if one fighter commits an illegal move, the other fighter should then be allowed to return the exact same foul. Now, he was half joking when he said it, but you could feel the real simmering anger behind his words when he said that, in his own situation, he'd want to double-eye gouge Cyril Gane right back just to even the score. It's a completely wild idea, of course, but it really shows you just how fed up and disillusioned he is with the current state of rule enforcement.
What I think should happen is, if there's a foul, like in my case, double eye gouge was what happened to me. So if we want the fight to carry on fairly, I get a free foul on him. So I'll double eye gouge him back, and then we restart the fight. I think that's fair.
I feel like that might be a tough one to pull off.
Well, so's continuing when you've got no eyesight.
It's not just other fighters who are weighing in, either. The legendary Henry Cejudo also jumped into the conversation to criticize Dana White, the Nevada State Athletic Commission, and the referees over this persistent, unresolved eye poke issue that continues to plague the sport. He argued that the entire sport of MMA is being actively damaged by a consistent and frustrating lack of strict penalties for these kinds of fouls. Triple C warned that if the officials fail to enforce real, meaningful consequences for these actions, then fighters are just going to continue to take advantage of the rules and push the boundaries, knowing full well they can probably get away with it without any serious repercussions.
For me, on the eye poke thing, you mentioned Jason Herzog in your last fight. Obviously, there's been an eye poke problem in the UFC for a while. It's not the UFC's fault, but more the commission's. What is the solution? You mentioned.
I think everybody needs to man up. Dana White, the Nevada State Athletic Commission, the referees, and just make a fucking decision, man. If you guys can do it, like, dude, that's bullshit. If we're being warned in the back, and all right, then I'm gonna start taking my warning. I'm gonna start sticking in the eye too. I get a warning. Like that's not fair. Everybody needs to man up and step up and create this and make this thing official. Dude, somebody could lose an eye. Bisping. I mean, how many other dude? These dudes are deformed for life, dude. That sucks. You know what I'm saying? Like, dude, it sucks. The one that happened to me, but two, man, it's Betchko head. There's a lot of people that have eye issues that you guys don't even know about. You know what I'm saying? So it starts here. And I think it needs to be immediate. And if not, man, I think people need to be held accountable for that stuff. If I also lose a fuck, I did too. You imagine that? Like, oh, yeah, oh, good job. You're a warrior. Oh, okay. Well, who's going to give me my eye back? You know what I'm saying? Like, everybody needs to step up. Everybody, including Dana White.
And on another note, Tom Aspinall also brought up a powerful memory from his fight against Andrei Arlovsky to prove his toughness and resilience. He recalled how he was poked in the eye during that match, a poke which caused him to have double vision for the entire fight. Just imagine that. He had to avoid any sudden movements to manage the intense dizziness, but he still fought on and ultimately won, using essentially only one functioning eye to get the job done. He contrasted that experience sharply with the Cyril Gane fight, where pokes to both of his eyes left him completely unable to see anything clearly at all. Aspinall powerfully emphasized that continuing to fight under those conditions, especially against an elite-level striker like Gane, would have been not just foolish, but reckless, and extremely dangerous to his long-term health.
I actually got punched in the eyeball against Andrei Arlovski, and during that fight I had double vision. I wasn't moving my feet around because it was making me dizzy, and I was adopting a stance that was kind of like this. I usually fight with my hands pretty loose. I was adopting a stance that's kind of like this so I could see him properly, and I stood with my feet in the middle of the cage. So look, I've fought through having one eye before. But when you get double eye gouge and it's against the rules and you can't see anything, like if you're going to continue, that's just suicide, especially against a guy like Rogan. Like if I can't see somebody because of an illegal move, look, if it's legal, everything's good. It's a punch, kick, knee, elbow. We got to carry on. We got to fight through it. But if it's both eyes and it's an illegal technique, I'm not a dummy. Like I'm not gonna carry on in a fight that I'm definitely not gonna win because somebody else is cheating and I can't see.
Even Sean O'Malley weighed in on the situation, showing some deep sympathy for Tom Aspinall and saying that he believes the eye poke cost him an absolutely huge career-defining opportunity. He astutely noted that a decisive win over Gane could have been the final, crucial step to securing a massive, legacy-making fight with the legend Jon Jones. A fight like that would have brought a whole new level of excitement and intrigue to the heavyweight division. O'Malley also highlighted the massive uncertainty that's now clouding the entire division, pointing out that both Jones and Alex Pereira seem completely uninterested in facing Aspinall, which leaves way more questions than answers about what's next for the interim champ. It really makes you stop and wonder, what could have been if Tom Aspinall had walked out of that octagon with a clean, decisive victory?
Wins. What happens to his career after that? That's the Jon Jones potential fight at the White House. Like, there's so much that Tom missed out on because of that. Super unfortunate, sad, and it would have made the heavyweight division it would have made it a lot more fun. I mean, the whole division's been so crazy with Jon Jones. You know, he defended an interim belt, Tom Aspinall. It's like, what do you? I mean, Jon Jones is done. Alex Pereira, he's probably not moving up to heavyweight. Like, you just rematch that fight. You know, the crowd was insanely loud, so it was like, I guess it was a big fight, but do you watch it again? Do you make that fight again? Jon doesn't want to fight Tom. Alex doesn't want to fight Tom. Man, yeah, I don't even know what you do with that fight. I think.
So that's where the story stands, for now, in this unfolding, complex drama. We've heard passionate arguments from all sides, from Aspinall, from his critics, and from his fellow fighters. But now we want to know, what do you think? We would love to hear your thoughts about Tom Aspinall's situation, the upcoming UFC fight card, and the current state of the heavyweight division down in the comments section below. And of course, if you want to stay on top of all the latest updates and breaking news from the world of the UFC, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications for our channel so you don't miss a single thing.